Good morning, sleepyhead. Let's do this thing.
A lot of people get lonely around Christmas time, especially workaholics. But lucky for women in Christmas stories, there's always some handsome bastard waiting around in their hometown hoping that they'll come back. And that's exactly what happens in Christmas Lost and Found.
Snowflakes are falling and everyone's calling. The magic of Christmas is here.
Are you sure you want to do that?
Yes, it'll be awesome. Right.
So we meet Whitney, who's coming back to Chicago to have Christmas with her grandma. And when she pulls up, her grandma's neighbor Brian surprises her.
Well, Merry Christmas to me.
See, the last time she was in town, they stayed up most of the night and almost kissed.
Are they teenagers?
No, they're fully formed adults who have already graduated college and joined the workforce. In fact, Brian's been an architect for so long that he's started his own firm.
So why can't they just bang like normal people?
Because, Lori, this is a lifetime story, where romantic ideas never develop past those of a 13-year-old girl. So something like a kiss means that you're signing a binding contract to be with that person forever.
Now I will dance with you until we have 6 babies and a house.
But given that Frances made them dinner, and then faked being sick when Whitney was only in town for one night, she probably thought that she needed to get some while she was there.
Human contact, can you imagine?
This time she's in town for 3 weeks, but makes Brian promise that he won't try anything while she's there. And he's like, that's cool, but by the way, your grandma's kind of my best friend now, so I'll be around like all the time.
Who doesn't like Frances?
So they go inside, and Grandma will put up some mistletoe and is like, huh? But Whitney goes to shower, and Frances is like, you're totally gonna hit that. I got you, bro.
She's a very determined lady.
After dinner, Grandma gives Whitney a box that has all the Christmas ornaments that they've bought together over the years, even though they're gonna decorate the tree tomorrow. She also says that the tree topper's been passed down 5 generations, but since they skipped her dad,
That, as Frances would say, is a lot of hooey.
So Whitney takes the ornament box to her bedroom, for no apparent reason, and Brian brings in her luggage. And since her sentimental ass demanded the bedroom her grandma uses as a gym, and she sent boxes ahead of time, the room is super cramped, and she's gonna have to do a bunch of crap before she can go to bed.
Do you always need to clear this much stuff just to get to that bang?
And Brian's like, wow, I'd love to stay and help you, but since you said that there's no chance anything's gonna happen, I'm gonna go. And now she's like, why didn't I just lead him on?
I can't argue with that.
And on his way out, Frances stops him and apologizes for cockblocking him, but she'll give him some alone time tomorrow. But Brian's like, hey, she put me in the friend zone, and I'm okay with that. But Grandma's not cool with that.
It's, just a thought.
The next morning, Grandma doesn't want to disturb her by doing her morning workout, so she wakes her up to tell her that she's going speed walking. And now that she's awake, Whitney decides to move all Grandma's gym crap to another room instead of just using that room. But she also decides to unpack all the boxes she had shipped. She also throws them away, even though she's gonna need them right after Christmas to send her shit back. And since Brian said that he would stay on his side of the fence, he's literally outside building a fence to stay on the other side of.
His people are completely literal. Metaphors are gonna go over his head.
And he says that he would offer to help, but she made it perfectly clear that she's not interested. So he's just gonna build his fence, since digging post holes is easier when the ground's frozen. But the ornaments fall in one of the boxes, and the garbage gets picked up before she realizes they're gone. But we see that Brian noticed the garbage man picking up the foot massager box with a woman's face on it, and that he doesn't crush it.
You should fire him.
So Grandma comes home, and she and Whitney go to their favorite store, but they see that they don't have their Christmas window displays up, so they go inside to talk to the owner. She says that the lady that designed them made them look like shit, so she took them down, and now that they don't have window displays, people aren't shopping. So if she doesn't get window displays up, then they might lose all their loyal customers and have to close.
Well, a little shop in a small town probably needs some money.
Oh no, this is a huge department store in downtown Chicago. But Gloria thinks that if they host a huge catered event right before Christmas, people would forgive him for not having a Christmas window display. So she leverages her friendship with Frances to manipulate Whitney, a woman she just met, to run it for her.
Why would she want her to do that?
Oh, well, that's her job. But considering that she's taking 3 weeks off, including Christmas, when most companies and rich people are throwing parties, Gloria should probably be wondering if she sucks at her job.
Christmas parties are some of my favorite events.
But Whitney lets her know that they would have to have the window displays up for the party, so Gloria's like, you can do that too.
I thought you were supposed to be on your vacation.
Which she sees as a personal challenge. But let's be real. When I was 18, I had to do a Christmas window display, and it was just the same mannequins with sweaters and Santa hats. It's not that fucking hard.
Okay, take it easy.
So they're going to have the Christmas displays unveiled at the event just a couple days before Christmas.
What is it with these professional advertising people not knowing that you have to advertise before the holiday and not on it?
He's going to launch the campaign on Christmas Eve on all of his social media.
I know, it's like the writer hasn't seen that every store starts putting up their Christmas crap like right after the 4th of July.
Skip all over the creepy Halloween shit, right?
So Whitney gets home and finds a note saying that someone has her Christmas ornaments and that they're going to put her on a scavenger hunt to find them. She tells Brian, who just happens to be there hanging Christmas lights, and he invites himself to go tree shopping with them to delay them having to decorate it. So Brian thinks it's Francis, but Whitney thinks it's the garbage man Joe.
What kind of demented son of a bitch does this to a person?
But either way, they know that someone has them and that they're safe. So they choose not to just tell Frances and instead make up excuses and lie to her so they can have fun. And Brian also volunteers his help.
So much for staying in the friend zone.
Shut up. He knows she's busy with the window thing, and riddles are really hard.
Sure, whatever you say.
Yeah, he's totally gonna use this to try to bang her. So the next morning, Brian's driving around and sees something that makes him know where the first clue leads. It's the local theater that's playing the Nutcracker. And even though they don't have a show until 5, and it's only 10 a.m., it's unlocked, and they just go into the empty theater where some ballerina comes out and gives Whitney an ornament and another riddle.
Brat with wings.
Well, now they're more like vague hints on where to go. Like this one says something about tea, and she's supposed to remember someplace she went with her grandma. So they go, and the waiter just brings out the next one.
And you could have been Employee of the Month, but you know what? Not now. Not ever.
And since Brian regrets admitting to Whitney that he danced in the Nutcracker, he acts like his big manly hands can't hold a teacup, and he's afraid his dick will fall off if he tries one of the little sandwiches.
Thank you for calling me big and tough. Let's keep that going.
So now she's got to write a letter to Santa, and when she tries to mail it, she asks the mailman if he has anything for her. He hands her the mail, and then she's like, "Do you have anything else for me?" And he thinks maybe she wants him to make a special delivery. But no, she just takes her Santa letter back and goes inside.
I'm not a pervert!
Later that day, she goes into the Christmas store where the owner recognizes her from coming in with her grandma years ago. And she accuses him of leaving the riddles and then takes off, leaving him confused as fuck.
You're gonna get a reputation as a weirdo around here.
Then later, she's in the storage room at the department store, and a mail lady comes in looking for her letter.
Well, how would she know how to find her when she's running around with Brian all the time?
Well, tracking somebody is easy, but what would suck would be being the ballerina who was told to just hang out in a theater in costume hours before her performance just in case Whitney figured out the clue.
Unless it's Brian doing it and he told her what time to show up.
Anyway, Whitney gets the ornament and explains the story behind it, and the mail lady's like, "I don't give a fuck," and leaves.
You don't care? Why am I telling you?
But her note says to go serve food to the homeless, and who happens to already be there but Brian.
Come on.
He said that when she called asking about the place, that it reminded him that he hasn't volunteered in a while, so he decided to leave work early and go.
It's so him.
That's right.
Look, if this dude had a friend in a ballet troupe, he wouldn't be best friends with his elderly neighbor. He'd be trying to get set up with a dancer and not some out-of-towner.
I could do this, and then I could do it for a really long time, and then I could do it for so long.
But they serve some food and are making googly eyes at each other, and then she sees that the next clue's in the tree. She tries to get it down, but falls, only to be caught in the manly arms of Brian.
Are you always so laser focused that you don't notice anybody around you?
They're about to kiss, but Gloria calls and needs to see her right away. Now she has no idea what she wants or how long this is going to take, but because they're supposed to go Christmas tree shopping after, she brings Brian along with her. She introduces him to Gloria, and he's like, "For the record, I have never kissed her."
It's so incredibly frustrating.
But the reason she called Whitney is because her new mannequins showed up, and she needs her to move them herself because she didn't know where she wanted them. But of course, Whitney doesn't know the building, so Gloria's like, "Well, I guess you could just put them in the studio we used to design the window displays." And I bet she's wishing she would have just thought of that and just had a stock boy put them up there before making her drive back downtown to move 4 mannequins. But Brian does come across a desk with every memento and historically significant thing you can imagine for the store. But that's not what Gloria wants.
I want a window that is modern and youthful and completely outside the box.
Hence the new mannequins. After that, they get a tree, and Frances wants to decorate it. So Brian says that her tree stand is a piece of shit, and that he'd build her a new one. He has Whitney come home with him to his garage, where he tells her he has no idea how to use tools, which she probably could have known by watching him build his fence, but he needs her help right now. Help taking his recycling outside of the garage. because God forbid he makes 2 trips. But he tells her that he likes hanging out with her, and she gets uncomfortable and fucks off.
God, I should have just kissed her. What am I doing?
And now, he's gonna be the asshole neighbor that runs his power tools at night. The next morning, Whitney and Frances bake cookies for the neighbors, which they made seem like would take all day, but they're using pre-made cookies that you only have to bake, so they're passing them around in no time. One of the neighbors even has an ornament for her.
Put that cookie down! Now!
And the next clue implies it's with a copy of A Christmas Carol. So her and Brian go to a bookstore, but they only have 1 copy, and it's not there.
The owner of the shop just gave it to me. It was weird.
The next day, Whitney's planning her window and sees the history desk and calls Brian. But Brian didn't pick up because he was at Frances's house where he finds out that she's the one behind the scavenger hunt. I mean, big surprise since there's like 4 people in this whole story.
She keeps complaining that Whitney doesn't spend enough time with her, but she's the one that ditched her the last time she was in town. Then she's the one that okayed her taking that job, and after that, created a scavenger hunt that would have her spending even less time with her.
Oh, you're really not as smart as I thought you were.
She begs him not to tell Whitney because she needs to enjoy things more. She also hints that she thinks it's helping him get her into bed. But Brian stupidly takes the note with him and throws it away in his living room garbage. But wads it up with the incredibly recognizable handwriting on the outside.
Still don't understand what happened.
Gloria comes to look at the window progress and really likes the modern approach. But Frances comes in and thinks it looks like shit. Then Whitney and Frances go to the library together and she almost lets her grandma know about the ornaments when she opens the next clue in her line of sight. But Frances also almost screwed the pooch by going inside to begin with.
Why would I do that?
Later that night, Frances wants to decorate the tree, so Whitney fakes being drunk tired and goes to bed. Then Brian remembers how many times they've lied to her and calls her out.
Glad you're having fun.
But her next clue is going to lead to a romantic bonfire under some Christmas lights, and Frances needs Brian to decorate her backyard for her. And luckily, tonight's the one night she decides to sleep with her door open, otherwise she wouldn't have seen it.
Wait, how did you know that?
So she calls Brian over and talks about how pretty everything is.
Someone decorated her backyard, and she can't figure out who it is yet.
Well, she told Brian that she was just going to try to enjoy it, instead of obsessing over who's behind it. You know, after she realized she looked nuts accusing everybody.
You're implying that I'm behind all of this?
But now that she has her Christmas window done, she's having second thoughts about her display. Because she's reminiscing about her past, she thinks she should remind the town of the department store's past. So Brian uses her moment of self-doubt to make a move on her, which she rejects.
I don't have time for this.
And then he tells her to come over to his house so he can give her a present. It's an old box that she can put her ornaments in. And right as she's about to kiss him to thank him, she looks in the garbage and sees the letter from her grandma. And then gets pissed off at him because she thinks this was just a big scheme for him to finally kiss her. So he tells her that it was Frances, and he's like, "We almost kissed 3 years ago. Why do you keep pushing me away?"
That happened 3 years ago? How have 2 adults in 2 of the biggest cities in the country not moved on from an almost kiss by now?
Oh, Brian did, but Whitney was all like, "Our almost kiss must have meant nothing to you, since you dated a woman 4 months later." But she fucks off and goes to confront Grandma.
You know Joe the garbage man.
Oh, yes, I do.
She tells her that Joe looked through the trash and found him. Somehow, he knew the ornaments were special and told Frances that he found them when she was on her power walk.
Oh, it was a lovely evening. Oh, I need a hot bath.
The next day, she asks her grandma if the scavenger hunt was to get her and Brian together, and she says, "You're the one who told him about it, not me, and you didn't need his help for any of the clues." But she goes to finish the window thinking, maybe I do want to kiss Brian.
Oh, yeah. 6-foot honeypot, sent to kiss and nibble the secrets right out of you.
And when she gets to the store, Gloria's like, "I wanted to see the windows, but the door was locked."
I thought you said the displays were done.
Yeah, they are. But apparently, this woman doesn't know how windows work. So Whitney scraps her all-white theme and has another idea in mind. And somehow, Gloria waits until the event has already started to look at Whitney's work, which is the history of fashion since the place opened.
So they're not even advertising the clothes that they sell?
Well, the last display is a bunch of douchebags taking selfies, so maybe?
Wasn't the window supposed to get people into the store?
Yeah, which makes the bar cart and the carolers outside keeping people from going in kind of a bad idea.
Guess we know why she got the month off.
Wow, I thought you were, good at your job or something.
Well, I guess not.
And then, she doesn't even want to stay because she wants to finally decorate the tree. Which is a terrible idea for an event planner with no staff to do when they have a client that micromanages them. But doing this project and spending time with her grandma makes her decide to stay in Chicago and start her own company. So it's probably a good thing she already shipped all her shit there.
Yeah, pack your entire closet?
Well, Grandma's excited and texts Brian to come over, and he teleports there and is like, huh, you're staying? And she's like, yeah, I am. And then they kiss, and Francis records it like a creep.
Aha, video chat. I think that your parents should see this.
Let's do it.
Oh, yes. You ready?
Yeah, show it to us, please.
Keep your expectations low.
It's nice. I'm just gonna try and enjoy it. Wait for me. Slow down. I'm coming.
Oh, yeah.
You did that, kiddo? Fabulous.
I don't think my grandma likes it very much.
No, I didn't mean to imply that.
Well, we're not done yet.
Oh, innocent women. They're wearing me out.
It's Christmas all around.
I'm relieved this whole thing is over because I'm exhausted.